Yeah, for those watching, I'd kind of asked Daniel if he would be interested in kind of doing a little kind of director's commentary and kind of watch through. And so let's go ahead and set that up now, and you can kind of maybe take us through kind of frame by frame and kind of some of the kind of creative side behind this. I think that would be very cool for the people watching.
Sure.
But let's kind of figure out how to get this.
Yeah, so I can just pull this up.
Perfect.
All nice and big. So what we have initially to start.
And so give people real quick, just maybe a little background in terms of why part of it's finished, why part of it isn't.
To be completely honest, a lot of why part of it is finished and part of it isn't is animation takes a lot of time and a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And quite simply, in autumn of 2014, I had just graduated from college, and I was basically working full time, and did not have like the physical capability of bringing this thing to the conclusion that I would have liked to see. But
Yeah.
that's how life works. That's how a lot of it is something that just has been pulling up like the last couple of years. That's how mental health works.
Yeah,
Well,
definitely. Well, as a fan, I can tell you that the impact is there. You don't those finishing touches weren't needed. So mission accomplished.
well, thanks. And I think to start out here, that music, that's just basically what was going to be a temp track from Mass Effect 3 from Clint Mansell.
Yep.
We were going to go back in. I was just going to compose a new piece for that. And I think I'm in a better place to make something of that sort now. If we want to go back here, that I think is the sort of the idea and like that spirit of rebellion that I really want to try to capture with the film. Because we have in BattleTech we do have this idea of like dynasties and inherited power, inherited status is like it's a big part of the universe, right? It is a medieval setting.
Definitely.
And the thing that specifically the Free Rasselhag Republic speaks to me about is it sort of, in its own like small hypocritical way, it stands in defiance of that setting, of that like basic premise. Because like here we have like an actual, what is supposed to be a functioning democratic republic. Who knows how long it would have actually lasted given the setting, but we won't know anyway. There's also something about just like these people were not ready for the one of the largest invasion forces that humanity had ever seen, and a lot of them still tried to fight really hard anyway because of it.
Yeah.
So we're trying to like capture that sort of desperation. Yeah, I know. Oh, a cat in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and these were basically storyboards of what was going to be shown here.
Right.
That, if we want to go back, is I think one of the first finished versions of the film that we actually had. This is all done in an amalgamation of Adobe Flash, Photoshop, and then Blender for the 3D elements.
Okay.
So we have this sort of front sort of like moving plate of this like Draconis Combine Mechwarrior, who, yeah, it's a very stylized sort of like vision of this universe where like the Draconis Combine neuro helmets kind of look like samurai helmets, and it's a little bit insectoid.
It looks awesome.
The FRR guys have like the Viking nose piece, all that sort of fun stuff. If you notice, there's like basically the reflection of what he's seeing in that sort of visor. That's its own independent like moving piece, and it's like clipped onto his helmet here. So if that clip was like taken off, you'd be like, this whole scene would extend like way out to the corners, and it's just been basically tacked into that. So this is a really good example of what Flash is supposed to do.
Okay.
As opposed to what we were trying to make it do. Flash is very good at taking still images and still shapes and moving them over each other, layering them, and like creating effects with that. This, it is not quite as capable of doing. This is a fully modeled, textured, and animated 3D model of a dragon that was made in Blender. The scene was rendered out as a series of PNG images,
Okay.
and then composited into Flash in order to get the rest of the sort of hand-drawn, I'm going to turn the playback speed down a little bit, to get the rest of these like hand-drawn missile trails and little glows and the skybox moving behind it, to get that all in. Each of those, like each little movement of the smoke here, and the background is its own like painted in image, but all of these missiles coming in, all of those individual trails were there. These sort of like explosion effects were all hand drawn, frame by frame, and then pasted into a larger, basically a larger sort of stage, and then we have a virtual camera that we're moving around inside of it in order to capture that sort of panning effect.
Wow.
Of these soldiers just not
having a good day.
Mechs don't do well against dudes don't do well against mechs.
Yeah.
So we just have this like sudden like explosion of violence. I think this was that shot of the dragon taking the rocket was the first. It was the first composite that we tried to do, and it was the first like, hey, this is a bit of animation that we can actually work on. So that dragon is its own thing, the missile trail is its own thing, the fire is its own thing, and then we just have these big basically stamps of smoke sort of like slowly rising up, little sparks coming off of the dragon. Originally, in the initial basically storyboard for this was supposed to be the king crab that shows up later on.
Yeah.
And instead of seeing the dragon, or instead of seeing the dragon smash through this building, the king crab was supposed to just take a couple of machine gun hits, turn over, and then use those AC-20s and just level the building. Sort of actually what we see in Mechwarrior 5 right now, where you shoot an autocannon and the whole building comes down.
Yeah.
We decided that one, I wanted to have a definitive, almost like a monster coming after this kid. And I wanted that to be consistent and persistent. I wanted this to be a single recognizable antagonist, a single recognizable enemy that doesn't get confused in this sort of like build-up sequence. On top of that, the king crab basically just has fewer points of articulation, and I wanted to see a mech punch a building.
Okay.
to be completely fair, like there is something incredibly fun about the sort of like huge visceral motion of this gigantic machine pulling back, taking its little claw and just swinging it through something. I wanted to capture that as best I could.
Well, I think and the dragon is so iconic for Kurita, for the Draconis Combine, and so that I think that switch just thematically was inspired in two ways for sure. Yeah, that's a great shot.
Yeah, so like all of those are individual drawings, and that we have a 3D render of that VTOL, and here we have, hey, look, more stylized Vikings.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Vikings,
it's awesome.
Yeah,
I love it.
I mean, because obviously you're in Rasselhag. Clearly, all of the military dudes are just going to be like burly guys with Viking helmets and giant flowing beards, and they have like tankards of mead coming off of their belts. Because clearly, this is a realistic depiction of what the BattleTech universe is going to be like.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, I do kind of like push things a little bit, and I hope, for the most part, my audience seems to forgive me for it. This shot that's coming up here was directly inspired by 2014's the American Godzilla movie.
Okay.
Where you just have like this, yeah, there's this shot in the movie of like this gigantic monster looming out from the smoke, and it's like the second like big Godzilla roar of the movie. It demonstrates like the sheer like power and scale of this thing. So it was a shot that I really wanted to have in the film, and I had to fight really hard against Blender to get it, because all of this smoke is a 3D generated particle system.
Okay.
It's supposed to like interact physically with the dragon model moving through it. It took about 3 days to render.
Wow. That's
Yeah, I must have I'm sort of an amateur as far as like building and animating 3D in Blender specifically. Maybe I had something wrong with it. Maybe I just wasn't working with the best equipment. But this smoke, to get it to the density of like the particles that had to be used for it, to get a sort of like realistic look, it just like it sort of ate my computer for a couple of days. I think specifically because I wanted that effect right there, where you can see part of the dragon coming through and the other part's not. In order to get that, you have to have a really dense layer of particles in the physical simulation, right?
Yep.
Which means that you're just throwing computer power at the problem.
That's awesome. It's worth it.
And then we have that next shot of just a big rotating bit. This whole sequence, the 3D like version of this has none of this rotation. It is just a straight shot of the camera looking up at this VTOL. The VTOL slowly flies by and it just sort of like gets hit and starts crumbling away.
Okay.
All of this motion, it was added basically later in Flash, in order to like get that sort of like dizzying 3D effect, which later on we can, if we get to it, we can talk about like the further application of that work. So we have some hand-drawn, hand-animated bullets, like autocannon shells, like the actual like firing.
Yep.
Smoke effects, explosions, stuff like that. I wanted to I wanted to blend the 3D elements and the 2D elements together as much as I could, knowing that inherently when you do an amalgamation of 2D and 3D, you have to work really hard to make it look right and look good, like make it sort of seamless. And in my experience, a great way to get to that point is by making sure that the 3D elements are layered over and under the 2D ones. So you have like smoke showing up in front of the dragon and smoke behind it, and you have animated sparks and explosions and things. Physically, like you physically draw the space that exists around the 3D model.
Okay.
And so we have like little chunks and bits of like the damage. The damage is like using Blender's sculpting tools. It was basically crafted into the VTOL, and when it takes a hit, those engines are just like in the 3D like program in the 3D space. They are within one frame snapped from about here to like way up here, because at the time I didn't know how to do like a model snap from one to another.
Okay.
So I just like dragged it off of the physical model. I just put another piece in there. So before this VTOL gets shredded, like I think the shredded engines are like way down below the ground, and the intact engines move way up. Yeah, it was janky. It's janky. It's held together with duct tape, but it works.
It works.
So go on one end, come out the other. These are actually recreations of that same explosion effect that we saw in those missile impacts earlier. And then here's the shot that made me not want to go back and finish this movie. To be completely honest, this was made 6 years ago. I didn't know how to draw. This character is warping to a degree that I am physically, viscerally uncomfortable with.
Oh no!
I don't like she like her eye is way off to one side. You can't really see anything on the other side. That hand is made of spaghetti noodles. There's nothing going on with the other hand. Her body is a tube. Like,
Daniel, it looks great. I know we are our own worst critics, and that is the example here. But yeah, the storytelling is so good here. Everyone's involved in what's happening, not in the lines there. But,
well, that's the plan anyway. That's the hope. And then here's like the shot that kind of makes me want to finish it at the same like it's in the same shot. That image is so over the top and so dramatic that you kind of can't help but love it a little bit. This person is. I'm trying to think maybe she has some sort of like intelligence or data or something that the Draconis Combine folks are trying to get their hands on, and that's why they're going after her. Or maybe this dragon just like doesn't see her at all and isn't even paying any attention. It's just seeing all of the dudes around her trying to save her.
We hope it's not just a very bloodthirsty Mechwarrior, but it's just like, and when I first watched it, I saw it as she was kind of just caught.
That was sort of what
this monster coming after her.
And then like the dragon's shooting at things that are shooting at it, or shooting at like enemy vehicles and things of the sort. She's just sort of caught up in the middle, and people are trying to keep her safe. That is our defining character moment. That it was going to be the thing that would follow this character through the rest of the Revelation story of trying to find a way to survive, trying to find a way to win throughout the rest of like what's going on, coming to a conclusion that this war has been lost and there's really not anything you can do to affect the outcome. This is sort of like foreshadowing her her involvement in the invasion of her planet by Clan Ghost Bear later on.
Okay. But
she fights anyway. And I think that's the thing that I really liked driving home for this character. There's like, this is entirely a symbolic gesture, right? This is a form of protest, essentially, and like that's sort of the thing that I kind of love about Rasselhag a little bit. Is they're sort of like suicidally brave in a lot of ways, and it's not represented as well as I would have liked in a lot of the existing media. So here it is now.
Awesome.
And then everything changes. And that shot was a lot of fun to make, because we have just a standard get a big heavy walk cycle for that dragon, and I want the viewer to be able to feel the sort of slow, unhurried power of this machine, which it's not quite what a dragon is supposed to be, but it's close enough for what we needed right here. There's another example of that model swapping. We have a hand carved or a hand sculpted like broken autocannon there, sort of like coming down, and we have like animated fire on top of that. Looks up. That's a pretty. This was, I think, the most fun shot to work on in the film, because we just have so much going on at once. Boom, crack. That's the cat probably
That's
knocking something over.
on theme.
On cue. Well done, Newton. We have the kid sort of like ducking behind.
Mm-hmm. And here we go.
And then just ripping it off.
Epic.
Like that. Boom. Welcome to BattleTech, motherfucker.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Like that was one of the moments that I absolutely need. Like it had been sticking in my head for months, and I absolutely needed to just see a hunchback rip an arm off of a dragon with an autocannon and beat it to death with its own arm. Ugh. It's so dumb and it's so great.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and here we have more Viking helmets.
Yeah,
because that's sort of the key. That's what we're going with. That was actually a fun little, like, this jump, even looking at it now, like the character model is a little bit off, but the motion looks all right. Like,
yeah.
And then this would have been the next fight that would have gone into it had just like time and energy not gotten away from me. Fighting a Jenner, fighting something small and light and sort of runny.
And it's funny because the last time I fought a Jenner on the tabletop, this is pretty much my experience.
Is this exactly what happened?
It was a recon mission, and the Jenner had the recon, and I put 3 heavy mechs chasing this guy, and he ran from one end of the thing to the other, and I missed all but 1 missile shot on him. And I was like, all right, fine, all right, that's how it's gonna go.
Cool.
But yeah, hard to hit.
Yeah. Yeah, take the shot for the Jenner. Like, there's the kid. We took the shot for the Jenner, and now we got to pay attention to the Jenner. Jenner's doing that classic light mech maneuver of go around them, which does work up until the point where your opponent realizes they can turn the other way.
Yeah.
And we have this like
the tumble.
Like this is someone graduated from like the Gunslinger Academy or something. Like that is someone rolled high or rolled low. And then this actually came from, I kid you not, the commentary for Star Wars Episode 1 when they were talking to the visual artists about animating the crashes in the pod race. Saying specifically, when you see a crash in like an actual motorsports race, unless a car like slams straight into a wall, what happens is it'll hit something and then the momentum of the machine itself continues on for a little while, and everything starts like tumbling and flying apart. And so that was really what I was trying to capture here. And say, like, basically, this Jenner, like, it loses a leg, but, like, most of the damage that actually happens to it is just ground and gravity and momentum. And it was honestly a lot of fun just to draw out this thing just, like, falling apart, its legs just being, like, catapulted into the sky. Maybe we would have had, like, some of the missiles misfiring or something, heat sinks exploding, stuff like that.
It's awesome. Well, having studied physics up through my sophomore year at college, I appreciate that. That image.
And like, I am a little proud of these next couple of shots with the kid. This one here, mostly because for the framing of it and that sort of impact and turn motion. That felt really weighty, and like that sort of struggle feels like a struggle even now. So that was nice.
Yeah, even on the storyboard, it comes through.
Yeah, there was like
this shot. I don't understand this shot in there where she looks happy. Like what's going on there?
That's probably down to like I didn't add enough details to the shot. This is supposed to be inside the cockpit. This is just like a picture that's like tacked up.
Got it. Okay.
The thing.
Boom.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, these two know each other, which immediately cuts to this of, oh, they really know each other.
Yeah. So I always saw that. I thought she was on the shoulders of the pilot or something. I'm like, what? Where's that cut? But yeah, knowing the relationship now between the two, it's all clear.
Yeah, and then we have
flash forward.
that same character with a newly rebuilt Hunchback, and it's all happening again. Yeah.
History repeats. If you're talking about the episode 1 documentary, it's Lucas saying,
Yeah. It's going back and forth. They were on. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
Jar Jar is the key.
Jar Jar is he's the emperor behind the scenes. He's the one pulling all the strings.
Definitely. Well, that was awesome, Daniel. I appreciate that walk.
Yeah.
That was super fun.
All right, BattleTech and Mechwarrior fans, thank you for watching that video and that look behind the scenes for the Frihet Mechwarrior film. If you're interested in more of the same, we are actually going to be doing similar videos for the Mechwarrior Revival and the Mechwarrior Origins trailers that Daniel produced. And if you want more about this particular video, this is actually just an excerpt of a longer podcast conversation that I had with Daniel. If you want to watch that full podcast, definitely check out the links in the description below, or just stick around to the very end of this video and I'll put a little hot link in the video for the end screen. But that's it. If you want to support either Renegade HPG or Daniel, definitely look down below in the description. There'll be links for us on social media as well as our Patreon account, so you can kind of support the work we're doing here. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.